Welcome to Savemake.com. Action, start. So today we are at Gym Zones, and we are at Gym Zone, and we are going to welcome Kameron and Ryan, who are going to speak about their journey in the Savemake process. So without further ado, I want to hear all about this journey, please.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to just talk about a little bit of what we've done. I feel like it's a lot easier to save money and start saving money. The habits can be done very quickly. When it comes to making money, that takes a little more time with that. So just dive right in. I first really learned how to save money in college. So I feel like that's one of the few things I really got out of college, and probably the most valuable skill, where I feel like the four-year degree is a little bit outdated with just how much educational info there is online, like this video. But I had no money in college, and it forced me to self-educate on how to save money.
And if I can interrupt, so there is another video with another young couple, Cassidy and Parker, and they said the same thing. I still remember the initial discussion was, I wish they would teach us those principles, and they went into self-education to be where they needed to be. But go ahead,
Absolutely.
continue.
So I think the most valuable thing when it comes to both saving money or making money or really anything is developing those great habits. So I've learned over the years that you need to get rid of your bad habits and replace them with good habits. And it's almost impossible to get rid of a bad habit unless you replace it with a good habit. So I've noticed people do a really self-destructive and financially destructive habit of when they're bored, they just scroll through Amazon or eBay and just look for ways to blow their money on things they don't even want. So something else you could do would be go to the gym instead. So replacing that bad habit with a good habit would keep you much healthier, both financially healthier and physically healthier.
And again, excuse me to interrupt, but we have a few videos that are really trying to steer you away from those platforms that are very good with the marketing to sell you things that you don't need to impress people who don't really care about it.
Exactly.
with money that you don't have. So
Exactly.
impress the John don't care with money that you don't have.
Exactly. And even if you have the money, it's still a pointless way to spend it. There's so many better ways to spend your money than on things you don't want, like travel, for example.
Yeah.
So just dive right in. I've got a few tips. So I think my first tip would be to budget. I know you've got videos on how to budget. I don't want to get into it, but something I noticed is that regardless of people's income, I've met people that make well into the six figures that are broke and they live paycheck to paycheck because they don't budget. And then out of college, when I was starting my business, I paid myself a $30,000 a year salary, and I was able to live a life of surplus. I actually only lived off $24,000 of that $30,000, just because I was able to budget. And then,
and excuse me, speaking about budget, I think that you have a funny story to tell when you met with your future wife. So go ahead,
I do.
because it's a good one.
I've got a couple funny stories. So when we agreed to get married, I asked her to marry me and she said yes. I told her that my one requirement for her marrying me,
only one,
just the one requirement, is that she had to budget with me every month. And you want to tell them your reaction?
I mean, you know, with all the wedding plans and stuff, there's a lot of stress, but I did cry because I had never budgeted before, and I asked them if we were poor.
To which I replied, no, budgeting's the reason why we're not poor.
So that's a good one. That's a good lesson. You know, to control your finance doesn't mean that there is a problem. It's a positive tool.
Yeah, and it creates future problems from happening. And then I've got a couple more tips. So I think something really fun to do is to kind of gamify budgeting and saving. Or if you're just doing it and you're just grinding through an Excel spreadsheet, no one really wants to do that. It's just not fun, it's not exciting. But what is fun is setting goals and gamifying it and coming up with little objectives. In order to do that, I think it's really valuable that everyone plays with an investment calculator. It figures out how much you have to set aside to retire by what age, with what income level you would like. And that can be really fun. And something I realized is that if you can invest half of your income for 10 years at an 8% return, that's actually enough to retire after 10 years. Which I think pretty much everyone would be willing to sacrifice a little bit in the short term. And really, once you get used to living at a certain lifestyle, you don't even notice in order to retire. Now, half your income may be extremely aggressive for most people, don't want to slum it that hard, and it's not feasible if you have kids, but it's something fun you can do.
So you see, and by the way, this discussion is unprepared. You know, we are not reading. Actually, I can show you my cheat sheet. It's completely white. So I am discovering with you, but the thing that I love is that Kameron and Ryan, they are hitting so many of the points that we have already discussed. And the saving early, it's a very important one.
Yes.
Especially with the compound interest.
Save early, and I think it was your one guest said invest automatically.
Exactly.
Those are the two biggest things.
So that the money goes to your saving accounts and not to Amazon, which
Exactly.
is going to end up in the trash.
Exactly. Yeah. I think another big wasteful thing people do is food. There's something she does for us is she meal preps. So she's the master of meal prepping. So we have a deep freezer and we've got a bunch of glass Tupperware containers, and I mean really just in like an hour or two she can make at least like 60 or 70 meals. So do you want to just talk about how you do that?
Yeah, so we actually did some research and bought a nutrition guide, but basically once you break up your proteins, carbohydrates, vegetables, you're able to pretty much cook all at once and divide and mix up the portion amounts so that you have a wide variety of food. Everything freezes well, especially when you're eating it within a 90-day period. So whether it's potatoes, rice for your starches, you can have a plethora of different vegetables, especially if you like to garden. You can throw in fresh produce there and save money. And then with meats, I mean, we love chicken, but we also have beef, tofu, and other protein substitutes.
Yeah, and I think that's something that would probably have to be a whole separate, probably half-hour video on how to meal prep. You can meal prep with her where she just throws a bunch of stuff in the oven, like carbs, vegetables, and protein, and then my job is to take them out and mix and match. And it really, we can do a month's worth of meal prepping in probably 2 hours. Not including grocery shopping. We do grocery delivery just to save time.
So I love to hear that because this is one of my pet topics. Actually, I have an entire video about portion, small container, very visual in the fridge. Their process or their program is slightly different because they freeze. We do not freeze, we just put in the cooler. But this is another idea, but it's exactly the same concept. And the thing is that food is a recurring cost. So if you make a good deal on one thing that you buy one time in your life, it doesn't have actually a lot of impact. But food you are going to buy every day, and this is very important to be able to control that portion of your expense.
Another way couples really waste a lot of money is when it's a special occasion, going out and blowing $500 to $1,000 on an expensive date night.
Yes, so we've come to the conclusion of a new date night that's definitely cost effective. A lot of those portions with the entrees, the wine, the dessert at dinner, it runs up tremendously, as Kameron explained. So we found that it's a better experience of a date night when we go to our local international grocery store. We buy foods that are fun to make, we're not necessarily familiar with, and we're spending time shopping together. It's a huge conversation starter, and we're really enjoying that time. And then we go home and we get to cook together as well. So we get stuff out of the norm. So we'll get that filet, that bone-in ribeye, and the cost effectiveness, it really comes out to being just a fraction of what you would spend at a restaurant, but we've got 2 portions for both of us.
Or if there's a local park by you with a beautiful view, we can cook together and then go to that. And we almost always have way more fun than if we were to go to some really expensive restaurant. And it's a lot less expensive. So really just, gamifying it, making a lot of fun about brainstorming potential ideas on what you can do, not only to save more money, but to have more fun while saving that money.
So to have fun, you don't necessarily need to spend money. Or a bunch of money. The fun is not related to the sticker price.
I agree. I think a lot of the time the more expensive dinners are less enjoyable than if it was just her and I at a park somewhere, just the 2 of us completely secluded with a beautiful view, opposed to some restaurant where we've got couples all around us, there's noise. So I don't think the 2 are correlated at all.
And that does take reframing your thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then something else where fun isn't correlated is vacation. So we love to travel. We're travel junkies. Over the last 10 years, we've taken multiple really long vacations per year. And we love to travel so much that we want to travel as cheaply as possible. So that way we can travel all the time.
Yes, and part of the way that we expense for these trips is we will save and invest his salary, and my career was more of a passion project, and we would put my salary into our travel fund and allocate for the trips that we wanted to take that year. And when we travel, it is definitely, we're not paying for those huge excursions, we're not eating out. We find inexpensive Airbnbs, Verbos, and then we grocery shop at the local markets, and definitely help stimulate the economy for the countries we visit. And then we're doing our own DIY excursions.
Yeah, and I think it all depends what you're really into. Where the airline costs, you have to be really frugal with the airline costs. That can eat up a massive portion of your travel budget. And then also the hotel costs. And you have to decide, like, are we going to Japan to sit in a really nice 4-star hotel? Or we're travelers, not vacationers. So when we went to Japan, for example, we left our room at 8 a.m. and we didn't get back to our room till 10 p.m. So as long as we had a bed and a shower, it doesn't matter how nice our place is, because when we're there, we're either getting ready to go out or we're sleeping. And if we want to go somewhere and hang out during the day, we don't want to hang out at our hotel. We'll go to one of the many just fun parks or cafes, or there's just so many more beautiful places to hang out than an overpriced hotel.
Yeah.
So I cannot say anything. I am speechless because, if you cannot beat a blind, don't speak. I could not have said it better, so I zip it.
Yeah, and then something else we do is when traveling, eating out at restaurants can eat a large portion of the travel budget. So that is why we do like to go to Airbnbs. Occasionally, there's been times where we've been traveling where you can purchase an air fryer for $20 or $30, and it may be frowned upon to air fry things in a hotel room, but it can be done. But we love to get Airbnbs primarily for that kitchen, and then go to local markets, try to cook local foods, try to get some local recipes and cook with local ingredients. We think it's just way more enjoyable for us.
Yes, and if we do get a surplus or kitchen appliances while we're there, we donate them before we leave. And another major part of getting that airline ticket down is to get comfortable with layovers. So don't think of your layover as you're stuck. It's a huge inconvenience. Think about how you can maximize your time there, whether it is taking an extra day to explore the region, that you're in between destinations, there's always a way to enjoy that time in between.
Yeah, so actually a really good example is, so when we went to Bali, we looked at these flights, and the one flight had a 16-hour layover. And we're like, no wonder it's so cheap. No one wants to do that. So what we did is we called the airline, and we're like, hey, we really like this flight. It's a quarter of the cost of a flight with a reasonable layover, but is there any way we could actually extend the layover for a day and a half? Or 2 days, something like that. So we had a 3-day layover. We had tons of fun in Qatar. We absolutely fell in love with Qatar. And it was kind of like a free mini vacation. Actually, we basically got paid to have a mini vacation. It was awesome, and it saved us money.
Very good. So a lot of saving tips, and I'm sure that there are hundreds that you are not even mentioning because it's part of your DNA and your lifestyle. Now let's go on the making money, because you guys are two young entrepreneurs and you have demonstrated that starting from zero, you can build wealth.
Absolutely. So I think it's just like saving money. If you can make it fun, you'll do it. So if saving money is more fun than spending a bunch of money, you'll just naturally start to save money and find creative ways to save money. Now, making money and starting a business can be extremely fun as well. So in my opinion, if you're in a job that you hate, that you just do for a paycheck, you probably, in the long run, won't be ultra successful. Where if you find something you love, anything you love, you do a really good job of. So to make a lot of money, you really have to be a lifelong learner and constantly be educating yourself. I think that's by far the most important piece. I think there's a lot that goes into it, but just really continuing your education and then creating systems where it becomes effortless. So whether that's automatically investing the second it hits your paycheck, or having a business that runs on a system where everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. I think it's also really valuable to get yourself a mentor. So Philip's been mentoring me, helping me with my business on ways where we can grow.
Yes. So another huge tip on how to make money is take a look at your inner circle, who you surround yourself with. I've found that whoever you have around you, you want them to be inspirational, motivational, and a good part on you. So part of how I started Zone's Gym, which I've got our little logo here on the pillow, is I was able to start with family. So my mother-in-law, which is Cameron's mom, we both got together and decided to begin a passion project that not only added a really healthy lifestyle, but it was something we were both very passionate about, to not only live healthy, but to do the business aspect, brings an awesome service to our community, and that's how this formed. But to go back with my point of surrounding yourself with people who motivate and inspire you, it really helps set you up for success.
And you have also a very well balanced life, because so you work hard, you are now raising a child, and for privacy I'm not going to mention the name, but a child who is 8 or 10 months old, if I am correct. And then you have also some quality time, traveling, enjoying. So how do you cope with all that?
I am very happy you said that we're balanced. It doesn't always feel that way, but yes, we're very happy with all of that. But
I think the big thing is, like, for me, how I manage my time is on a calendar. So I block out my day. I have daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly goals. So then every day I take action that's going to help me achieve those goals. So just planning my days and my weeks in advance has just been enormously helpful for me. And then back to the learning, I think some tips are, instead of just like binge watching your favorite show on Netflix, just kind of an unhealthy habit, replacing that with binge watching videos on how to invest money or how to do something that is educational. And YouTube's free and Netflix is, I don't know, we don't have a Netflix subscription, but it's got to be $15 a month at this point. So just eliminating subscriptions and replacing those with healthy habits.
Well, I think it's very interesting. Again, you saw how much we prepare for this discussion. So it's really coming from the heart and from their DNA. If they made it, a lot of people can take away some of the tips that they are using in their life and make them work for you. You know, in my whiteboard at home, that one thing for you. So out of all those suggestions, if you can take one thing which is going to work for you, that will be great. And now I want really to thank Ryan and Kameron for participating to the Savemake initiative. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's fun.